Good morning, my dear students, and welcome to Big Data Analytics class. In our previous session, we have discussed about what is big data and its importance. In today's class, we will be learning about these topics, that is hidden treasures, what is Hadoop, problems in traditional approach, evaluation of Hadoop, components of Hadoop, architecture of Google file system, and Hadoop ecosystem too. Let's revise the contents, what we have discussed in our previous class. We have discussed about what is big data. As we have discussed that a big data is nothing but lots of data which is measured in terms of terabytes, petabytes, zettabytes and gigabytes. We have discussed about the characteristics of big data too, where we have discussed as a volume, veracity and velocity. We have seen few examples of big data like Walmart. We have seen the examples of telecommunications, we have seen the examples of banks and retail system, etc. And we have seen the different types of big data analytics like predictive data analytics, diagnostic data analytics, etc. And we have seen the applications of big data too. Let's start our today's session, that is about the hidden treasure. What is a hidden treasure is, as in the previous session, we have seen that from retail part, Sears company is generating large amount of big data. As long as the Sears company was getting structured data, they could able to maintain their data by using the Oracle and SAS. But once they started getting the unstructured data, they couldn't able to manage and maintain data by using Oracle and SAS. So they require a new technology which can handle unstructured in a perfect manner. So they were in a search, and during their search they got a software called as Hadoop. Hadoop is a software, using that we can able to manage the big data or we can manage the unstructured data. You might be worrying about why there is a picture of elephant. The reason behind that is the largest animal in the world as per the size is elephant. And the elephant size and the big data size almost all resembles each other. That is the reason one way it is elephant. Another important reason is the person behind who developed the Hadoop is Dave Cutting, and Dave Cutting has given the software name as Hadoop, that is nothing but his son's toy name, and it is an elephant toy. So in that manner the image of the elephant came for the Hadoop. Yeah, what is Hadoop actually? Hadoop is nothing but, it's a Apache Hadoop and is a framework which allows distributed processing of large data sets. That is very important, distributed processing of large data sets across cluster of commodity computers. What is the meaning of cluster of commodity computers? Commodity computers are nothing but they are cheap hardwares. Using simple programming model. What is a simple programming model they are going to use? The simple programming model they are going to use is, that is MapReduce. We call as MR in short. MapReduce is a simple programming paradigm. Using the simple programming paradigm that is called as a MapReduce, we are going to do all the kind of analytics, right? I would like to discuss much about cluster of commodity hardware. The Hadoop works based on the master-slave architecture. I repeat it once again. The Hadoop works on the master-slave architecture, that is your cluster of commodity hardwares. You don't require any expensive machines. Whatever the machines you are having, you can make a cluster and you can utilize the power of all the machines at one level. So how the cluster works is, the cluster works like this. This is one node. One machine is one node. This is another machine or another node, and they work in a cluster. They are connected with one another in the network. And the Hadoop works in master-slave architecture. We'll discuss about all these things in our next coming slide. Right. It is an open source data management with scale out storage and distributed processing. So it is a open source data management with scale out storage and distributed processing. That is the working style of the Hadoop. Right. So what is a Hadoop? It is nothing but Apache Hadoop is a framework which allows for distributed processing. That means the job is distributed among different nodes. The job is distributed among n nodes of large data sets. I have got 1 terabyte of data and I have asked to process those 1 terabyte of data. So what I did is, if I keep the data with me to process that, I may take large amount of time. I am considering myself as one node. If that 1 TB of data has been distributed among different nodes in a distributed manner, it becomes simple. So this is the working style of the Hadoop. And in this, there will be a programming model will be running. And that programming model is called as your map and reduce, we call as a. Right. So that is about what is Hadoop. Let us see what are the problems we are facing with the traditional approaches actually. What is making us to go for a new technology? Why we require to establish a clusters? Let us see that. Let us see this. There are 3 major problems are there. What are 3 major problem is? Problem in storing the colossal amount of data. I am having a large amount of data is there. How I am going to store it? That is my major problem. The second problem is I am having a storing of heterogeneous data. That is a major problem. That is second problem for me. And coming to the third problem, I am having a problem is accessing and processing data. That is another problem. So these are 3 important problems. So what is the solution for that? We have to see, right? So I am showing with the help of the image. If you see here, I am trying to store big data, which is in the form of an elephant in a small almirah, which is not possible to fit. That's what I am saying. Storing huge and exponentially growing data sets. It's increasing the data and I'm trying to put the data in the small almirah type of thing, right? And I am getting different varieties of data. Previously, I used to get only structured data, but now I am getting structured data, unstructured data and semi-structured data. So these are all different kinds of data I am getting. Previously we used to get the structured data only, but now I am getting the structured data, unstructured data and semi-structured data. So this is my problem, how I am going to handle. If I can't use my traditional database management tools, I can't use my traditional database systems to handle the structured data, to handle the unstructured data and semi-structured data. Similarly, you can see here, bringing huge amount of data to computational unit becomes a bottleneck. Like for example, all these are having a data and I want to move them. So how to move them all? That is a major problem. During the movement of that data, I may lose the data also. If you lose few data also, there is a large, that means the results you are going to get is a improper results you are going to get. That is why whenever you perform the calculation on the Hadoop software, for example, I am giving the 1 TB of data as an input. I should get the same output as a 1 TB of data, maybe the failure results or maybe a success result. So in that manner we need to measure. So this is my traditional approach, and we are facing so many problems. See, this is the one problem I am having. Another problem is I am getting different varieties of data, structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, and bring the huge amount of data to computational unit becomes a bottleneck. So how all these problems can be solved, that we have to see now. The best solution is Hadoop as a solution. That is the best solution. How it works is, it works like this. Let us see this diagram. Let us see this diagram, the beautiful diagram showing the solution. As I have shown you in the previous slide, this is one problem for us, this is another problem for us, and this is another problem for us. I need a solution for this, I need a solution for this, and I need a solution for this. So how do I do that? I do like this, right? The first solution you can see here, Hadoop as a solution, whatever the data I am having, that data, in order to process it, I am going to make use of cluster of commodity hardwares. This is one node, another node, another node, another node. So I am going to store all my data on these nodes. So in the previous diagram I have shown you that I tried to put my big data as an elephant on one Almora as one node. That means you can see here, this is my big data, I am trying to put on one node, I am considering this as a one node. Now this problem I am solving it, as I am making use of different nodes here. So few data I am going to keep here, few data I am going to keep here, few data I am going to keep here. So like this I can able to store large amount of data. The second diagram you can see here, once the data is stored here, so data will be stored in the HDFS. What is HDFS stands for? Hadoop Distributed File System. So what is Hadoop Distributed File System? The files or the data will be stored in a distributed fashion. It is quite simple, my dear students. Please understand that the working style of the Hadoop is just like master-slave architecture. Nothing will be saved on the master. All data will be saved on the slave nodes only. So these are called as nodes. On these nodes only data will be stored. And this data can be a structured data, unstructured data, and semi-structured data. So this HDFS can able to store all three formats of data. Whatever the data, it can able to store it. And once you store them, once you write them, that is called as the storing mechanism. The storing process is called as a writing. Once you store them or write them, you can read them at any number of time by any number of user. He can read as well as he can read, anyone can read it. That is the facility. And in third diagram you can see here is, as the data is stored in different nodes here, you can work with, and this is your master node here, and any number of processing you can do it here. And you can reduce the time of processing. That means in the previous slide here, processing problem we have, that also we have resolved it using this third approach. So ultimately, whatever the traditional problems we have seen, those problems can be solved by these three pictures. So how to do this and how to implement it, we'll see in the session. So before going ahead, it will be good for us to know much about how Hadoop has evaluated actually, how Hadoop came into the market, because whenever we see the picture of elephant, we are in curiosity that why the elephant came into the picture, all those things. Let us see a small history of the Hadoop software. So let us see here, ASF, that is a Apache Software Foundation, formed as a non-profit organization in the year 1999. In 2002, Duff Cutting, in short I have written as a Cutting, Duff Cutting joined Yahoo, takes Nutch with him, that means he continued the Nutch also with him, and sorry, in 1999, Apache Software Foundation formed as a non-profit organization. In 2002, Nutch created and by the Duff Cutting and Mike Efrela also. That means Nutch created by Duff Cutting and Mike Efrela. And in 2006, Duff Cutting joined Yahoo search engine, and he worked with the Yahoo search engine. In 2008, Nutch divided and Hadoop is born. That means there is a division has happened between the two companies. And then in 2008, Yahoo released a Hadoop as an open source project as a to Apache Software Foundation in the year of 2008. Again, in 2008, Hadoop-based startup Cloudera was incorporated. That means Cloudera is a big company now. So at the time it was a startup. Now it is a very big company. And Duff Cutting, who used to work in the Yahoo search engine, now he left the company of the Yahoo and then joined with the Cloudera as a CEO because he was the founder of that company. And Yahoo also started a new product that is called as a Hortonworks to do the analytical works, like how Hadoop is performing the job with the company of Cloudera. Similarly, Yahoo also has its own product that is called as Hortonworks. So we can do our analytics either by using the Hadoop or by using the Hortonworks, whatever we want. But the more popularity for the software is Hadoop compared to the Hortonworks, right? And in our classes also, we will be making use of Hadoop software only, because the Hadoop software we are going to make use of using the Cloudera only. So which is going to be make our work more simpler, and moreover in market also there is a large demand for the Cloudera compared to the Hortonworks. Let us see the characteristics of the Hadoop. What are the important characteristics of the Hadoop is a flexible software and it is a scalable. That means I can extend my nodes at any level whatever I want. For example, I am having only 4 nodes. I am having 4 nodes because I am working with only 1 TB. My company is handling only 1 TB of data daily now. So suddenly my company got progression and I am getting the data size increased. For that purpose, I can't work with the same 4 nodes, I have to increase. Just as it is simple, like for example, if my company is smaller, I will employ only 4 employees, 4 software engineers. If my company is getting more number of projects, I require 50 software engineers. That is called as your nodes. You need to increase your nodes. So once my company started getting more amount of data, I have to increase the nodes. So that is called as scalable here. And moreover, it is economical. Why? Because it is economical, because these nodes are cluster commodity. That means they are cheap computers. That means their hardware is cheap. You don't require any specific configuration to make the Hadoop cluster. Whatever the configuration you have, whatever the lower level machines you are having, you can make use of them and you can put it as a cluster, and whatever the power they are having, we can make use of it for the processing. And it is a reliable software. Why it is a reliable software? We will discuss. For example, for that, in Hadoop, we have a fault tolerance facility. What is the meaning of fault tolerance facility is, for example, in my company, 4 software engineers are working, and while working on the project, among the 4 software engineers, 1 software engineer suddenly left the company. So what happened now? I can't close my project. I can't close my company. What I am going to do at that time? I am going to replace the person who left with the person who are standby, to whom I have not allotted the job. So similarly here also, if this node is not working, or if this node is not working, what I am going to do, immediately the node, whichever the node is free or vacant, what I am going to do, I am going to assign the job. That is called as a fault tolerance. So that means no job will be in the problem if any node is not working. That means immediately the node's job will be continued by the other node, which will be automatically done. How automatically it will be done, that will be seen in the Hadoop cluster, right? So that is where, in that manner, it is reliable. That means if one node is not working, there is no need to worry about the job whichever the node is doing, how we are going to handle them, because it is having the facility of fault tolerance. And it is having some differentiating factors too. It is simple, robust, and scalable and accessible at anywhere. I have established my cluster at one location, maybe at Pune. I can access by staying at Visakhapatnam or in Andhra Pradesh, of any location of my world. That is my accessibility is, because I made the cluster in such a fashion. Yes, let us see the most important thing. There are two basic components will be there in the Hadoop. What are the two basic components of the Hadoop is? One is HDFS, which will be called as which will be acting as a storage. And another important component is called as YARN. What the YARN will do? Processing, right? I repeat it once again. In the Hadoop, there are two main components will be there. One is called as your HDFS, which is going to act for the storage. And another is called as your YARN. The YARN is responsible for processing, right? So how they are going to work, we are going to see them individually now. So Hadoop distributed file system allows to dump any kind of data across the cluster. So again I repeat, the HDFS allows to dump any kind of data, maybe a structured data, unstructured data, or semi-structured data across cluster. What is a cluster here? This is your cluster. This is your cluster. So you can store your data at any location. Right. Similarly, let us take YARN. What is this YARN will do? It allows parallel processing of data stored in HDFS. Yes, what is this parallel processing? On this nodes, I am having data. On these nodes, I am having data. Here data is stored, data is stored, data is stored, data is stored. All these data, what the YARN is doing here? Processing. It allows parallel processing of data stored on the HDFS. So parallelly, all these data will be working. So how data will be working? We'll be applying some programming model. As I said you already, simple programming model we are using, that is called as a MapReduce. MR coding we call as a, right? So that is about allows parallel processing of data stored on HDFS. Right. Let us see little bit in detail of HDFS. Yeah, let us see in detail about the HDFS. So HDFS stands for Hadoop Distributed File System. So it works like this, but in detail we are going to see about HDFS when we will discuss about Hadoop cluster. So HDFS will be taking care of name node, data node, and secondary name node. So name node consists of master daemon, which maintains and manages data nodes. It records metadata, like location of metadata is nothing but data about data. For example, where the data has been stored or where the block of data has been stored, what is the size of the file, whether the file is having read permission, write permissions or not, and its hierarchy, etc. And it is going to, the name node is going to receive the heartbeat. This is very important. What is this heartbeat? Whether the node is working or not. Whether the node is working or not. This node is working or not. It receives the heartbeat. For example, every day an employee comes to the caller, to the organization, he has to work. He or she has to work. If he or she is not working means, that means the node is not responding to the institution or to the organization. Similarly, Here also, this is a heartbeat is a technical terminology we call as a. So it receives the heartbeat and block report from all the data nodes. That means whether this node is working or not. From this node, heartbeat is not reaching means that means that this node is not working. That means we need to replace this node, and we need to, whatever the job this node is doing, that has to be given to another node. That means something wrong or some hardware failure has happened likewise. And coming to the data node, it is a slave node. As I said to you that Hadoop works on the cluster of commodity hardware. It is a slave node, and the Hadoop works on master-slave architecture, whereas the SQL works on the client-server architecture. The Hadoop works on master-slave architecture. That is why these nodes are called as a slave nodes, and slave nodes are commodity, inexpensive hardware they are called as. And these nodes only stores the actual data. That means master data does not holds the data. Master data keeps only the metadata or meta information, and the slave nodes only stores the data, or data node only stores the data, right? And serves read and write request. From here only the read and write request happens. So in this fashion, the Hadoop distributed file system works. So which we are going to see in detail when we will see the Hadoop cluster. And of course there is one more node is there, that is called a secondary name node. How this data node may not work because of hardware failure or something else, immediately the job done by this node will be allotted to the node whichever is free. Similarly, there is a chance of not working the master node also. Master node also may suffer with hardware failure, but master node is storing some important information such as metadata. What amount of data has been stored at this node? What is the permission? What is the size of data? All such information, meta information is stored at master node. In that case, that is called as this name node. In that case, if this name node also not able to work because of some hardware failure, in that case, the secondary name node will be maintaining the backup. Maybe depending upon the rules and regulations of the organization, the backup maybe happen at the end of the day or weekly once, likewise. It depends upon the situation, right? So in this manner, the secondary name node will store all the data which the name node is holding for the security reasons, right? Let us see about the YARN. How YARN works is, YARN, it takes care about the processing. So it takes care about the resource manager, receives the processing request, passes the parts of the request to the corresponding data managers. And data manager, it will do the installed on every data node and responsible for execution of tasks on every single data node. That means whether the resources are available or not, and whether it can execute or not, whether it is executing or not, that whole processing process is done by the YARN. Like resource manager, data manager is here, node manager here, node manager is here. So the node manager is installed on every data node. This is a node manager, and this node manager will be installed on every data node. This will be installed on every data node, and it is responsible for execution of the task. Whatever the job has been given, that is responsible to execute the task on every single data node. So in this fashion, the working of the YARN and HDFS happens. So as we have discussed that, these are the two basic components in Hadoop. HDFS responsible for the storage and YARN for the processing purpose. Yeah. Now we are into the most important slide, that is called as why we require DFS, that is called as a distributed file system. We are aware of file system, it is nothing but just how you store the files in your laptops and machines. But now we are going from file system to the little bit advanced level, that is called as the distributed file system. How it is happening is, you can see here, you can see here I have 1 TB of data. I am having 1 TB of data, and to process that 1 TB of data, I am making use of one machine, and the machine is having 4 IO channels, input output channels, and each channel is having 100 Mbps. And to do that job, it has taken 45 minutes of time, right? Whereas here, in this case, if you observe, I have 10 machines. Same 4 IO channels I am having as like this, and same each channels of 100 Mbps, same, nothing is different. But only I made from one machine, I made as 10 machines. And these 10 machines are also inexpensive commodity hardware. That means these machines are not expensive machines. They are cheap only. Whatever the processing speed it is having, I can make use of it, right? So, since I am approaching the distributed file system mechanism, it has taken 4.5 minutes of time. So, you can observe, to read the 1 TB of data, it has taken 45 minutes of time, and to do the same job with 10 machines with the distributed mechanism, it is happening with the 4.5 machines. Right. The most important thing is GFS, that is called as a Google File System Cluster Entities. So, we have 3 entities, that is clients, master servers and chunk servers. So, these are 3 important entities of Google File System. So, how client will work, how master servers will work, and how chunk servers will work, we will see. Let us see about the client here. So, client can be of any computer or computer application which makes the file request. And you can see here, these requests can range from retrieving files or manipulations, existing files, for creating new files in the system. It could be any of this. Similarly, you can see clients can be thought as a customers of the Google File System. So, just we made a small image of that. Whoever is making a request, you are making a request, you will be the customer for the GFS. Let us see about the master server. What the master server will do is, master server is the coordinator for the cluster. That means master server will be the main coordinator for the cluster, and the master server is responsible for the tasks. What task is responsible? It is responsible for maintaining operation log. As in the previous slides, we have seen that how the name node and data node is worked. Data node is responsible for holding the data only, whereas the name node is responsible to hold the metadata. That means the data about data, it is responsible to hold. In which location data is stored, what is the size of the file, what kind of data the file is holding, all such meta information will be holding. Similarly, here also we will be taking care about, the master server will be taking care about operation log, as well as it keeps track of activities of the cluster, like how Hadoop cluster we have seen. Similarly, it keeps activities of the cluster, how the request is happening, all those things. The operation log helps keep service interruptions to minimum if the master server crashes. As in the previous slides, we have seen that if data node is not working, that means there is a chance of hardware failure. But when there is a chance of hardware failure, we have a facility of fault tolerance. That means that whatever the job done by the data node, we have a data node here, whatever the job done by the data node, this is my cluster. If suddenly this node stopped working, how do I know that this node is stopped working? The name node is not getting the heartbeat. The name node is not getting the heartbeat. When name node is not getting the heartbeat, that means that something wrong went with this data node. So what I should do? Whatever the data is hold with this machine, it has to be replaced with the node whichever is free. As well as, similarly, the same situation could happen to the master or the name node. That means there is a chance of getting crashing of the complete metadata also. In that case, we have a secondary name node there. Similarly, here also, you can see here, you can see the master server crashes, then there will be replacement server that has monitored the operation log can take its place. The master server also keeps track of metadata, which is information, describes about the chunks. The metadata tells the master server to which files the chunk belongs and where they fit within overall file. So it works, it looks like this. So we have a GFS client and then making a request to the master, and whatever the request we have made to the master, master will give you the job to the chunk servers. So according to the Hadoop, we call as a data nodes. So these chunk servers are responsible to provide a service. Let us take an example. For example, I am a big fan of Megastar, Chiranjeevi for example. I made a request for a song of Megastar. For that purpose, what I am going to do is, I make a, as a Google client, I make a request for a songs of Chiranjeevi. Immediately the master will allocate a one chunk server to me, and the chunk server will directly provide a song to me. That is the reason, might you have observed or not, when you make a first request of any particular hero or a heroine related songs or movies or whatever it could be, it takes little bit of time, and next time when you make a ask for the same request, immediately the job will be given to, immediately the result will be given to you, because a specific chunk server will be given to you, and the chunk server directly will interact with the client. And chunk server will not interact with the master, because whatever the need is there to solve the need of you, to provide a solution for you, master has given a specific chunk server to every individual client. So in this fashion, the master works. Similarly, we have a chunk servers. What are the chunk servers? Just now, as we have discussed, they are the workhorses of the GFS. That means, fairly speaking, the most working area is chunk server. They are the workhorses, and they store 64 MB file chunks. The chunk servers don't send chunks to the master. As I said you already, I made a request of Chiranjeevi song. So master will allocate one chunk server to me, and chunk server will provide a song of the Chiranjeevi. Right. They will send request chunks directly to the client, and they'll make a copy of all these transactions within the GFS. So that is called as a replicas, we call as a. So in this fashion, the GFS works, the Google file system works. So you have an application client, and we have a GFS master is there, which keeps all the meta information, that is called as a file namespace, etc. And we have a chunk servers, and the chunk servers makes the read write operation and provides a request to the client, that is called as chunk data in this fashion. Yes. So why we discussed about GFS is, the basic reason is, as in the previous slide we have seen, as in the previous slides, we have seen about the DFS, that is called the distributed file system. So DFS has been made with the inspiration of the Google file system, and with the inspiration of GFS, HDFS has been made, that is called as a Hadoop distributed file system. So how the cluster will be working, that we will be seeing in the next session. Right. Now we are going into the important thing that is called as Hadoop ecosystem. So how Hadoop ecosystem works is, the Hadoop ecosystem works like this. We have layers. This is one layer, this is another, and we have another layer, and this is another layer. So I have 4 layers like this. How this ecosystem works and how it provides the service to us, let us see. And the most important information is, we have 5 units, as I told you in the beginning of the session. This is one chapter, one unit, and this is another unit. We don't have a Mahout, we have one more unit that is called as a MR, map reduce coding, that is called as a, we have a last unit that is called as HBase. So we have 4 units, and the first unit which is called as an introduction unit. So how this works is, let us see them individually and in detail. Let us take the example of Oozie. What is a Oozie is? Oozie is nothing but it is a workflow machine. It decides which job has to be given more priority, which job has to be given less priority, what kind of jobs has to be assigned to what kind of nodes, what kind of cluster likewise. So that is about the Oozie. Once you learn the Hadoop, you will become as a Hadooper, and to settle in the market, in the software industries, you can settle as a 3 ways, that is called as a Hadoop administrator, Hadoop testers, and Hadoop programmers. So if you are very well versed with Oozie, you can settle as a Hadoop administrator. But the job opportunity for the administrator will be very less, because there will be very few administrators. That is why more focus we need to keep on the programming part. So that is about the scheduling mechanism we call as a. If you are aware of operating system, how scheduling happens, the same job is done by the Apache Oozie. Yeah. The next layer comes to the Hive, Pig and Mahout. What is your Hive is, Hive and Pig acts like a 2 eyes in the Hadoop system. What are they is, whenever you want to perform an immediate analysis, as I said to you that we have a large amount of big data is there, and my boss asked me to perform the analysis immediately. Just he gave me 1 hour of time, and I supposed to perform the analysis very quickly. Today, if I put my products into the market, how much production, how much profit I am going to get. After that analysis, he want to release. So that is the job given by me, by my boss. So I can't write my programming aspects and all. It takes me at least half day or nearly 1 day of time. So to perform that job, I am going to make use of Hive. That is called as what? Data warehousing system. And we have a one mechanism that is called as we have a HQL, that is called as a Hive query language. Like how we have a SQL there, in the same fashion we have a Hive query language, where you can simply make use of query and all, and happily you can perform the analysis. Right. The another part is Pig Latin. So Pig Latin is also, you don't require any scripting, you don't require any high programming knowledge, you just require a normal scripting mechanism. So with that also you can perform the data analysis. That is why, as I said you that I have treated them as with 2 eyes, because just imagine that snake is going on, immediately action is you are going to do is immediately you are going to jump to save yourself. So to perform the quick analysis, I am going to make a Hive and Pig. The next component is called as Mahout. What is a Mahout is, it's a Sanskrit word. The person who rides the elephant is a Mahout. And the duty of the Mahout is nothing but it is going to control what kind of algorithm has to apply, what kind of algorithm is going to produce a better results. So that is going to be done by the Mahout, that is called as a machine learning we call as a. That is why there is a combination of big data with a combination of machine learning, with a combination of artificial intelligence, combination of deep learning, which makes all together as a data science. Yes. The next layer comes for the MapReduce framework. It is very, very important part of the Hadoop ecosystem. It acts as a heartbeat. As in the previous slide, I have told you that whether my node, that means my cluster is working or not, what I am going to do is, my name node will be getting a heartbeat. From this node, the heartbeat is not getting, means this node is not working. Something might happen. What happened? There is a failure of hardware. So immediately that job will be replaced to another place. So this kind of heartbeat is going to be provided by MapReduce. So we will be writing a programming, MR coding will be done. Map is a separate phase and reduce is a separate phase. So we will be writing a programming, and that programming I will be running on these nodes. Right? We have a facility called as a data locality. The meaning of data locality is nothing but wherever the data is there, I will be keeping the data there itself only, rather than moving the data, because moving the data is more costlier than moving the algorithm. So I will be sending the algorithm I'll be sending the algorithm here because my data is available here. Master node will not keep any data. Data node only keeps the data. So my algorithm, I'll be sending the algorithm here. Why I am sending the algorithm? Because my data is available here. So my algorithm will perform the analysis here. My algorithm will perform the analysis here. My algorithm will perform the analysis here. How do I write my algorithm? I write my algorithm by using the MapReduce. That is called as MR coding. What about the hive and pig here? You don't write any coding here. So you will be very happy that I don't require any coding. Yes, you will be very happy as long as you will be working with hive and pig. But when the scenario comes for MR coding, you need to write large coding either by using Java programming, either by using Python programming. So people who are good knowledge towards Java programming and Python programming, they can do good programming using the MR. Even though you don't write programming on hive on pig, internally the Hadoop runs the MR coding. That is a speciality of the MapReduce. Here also you are not writing any code of the MR. You are just writing a hive query language. You are just writing a query. Here you are writing a script. But internally MR coding is running. That is why it is called as the heart of the Hadoop ecosystem. That is why it is called as the heart of the Hadoop ecosystem. Right. You can see here, we have another phase that is called HBase. As I said you that Oozie is just like your brain, which do all the workflow and the scheduling process. Hive and pig is just your two eyes. And of course, that is a separate part which comes under your administration and algorithm parting. And your MapReduce is the heart of your machine. That means any part of the organs fails in your body, you may live for some time, but if heart itself fails, you can't. So that is why it is the important part of the Hadoop ecosystem. This HBase is something like a stomach where you store all your food and all. Similarly, here also this HBase, it stores all your structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, whatever data you put it will take it. And all these things are managed under the HDFS. It is the pillar of the Hadoop ecosystem. So all these things will be managed under Hadoop distributed file system. So already we have seen in the previous slides, the HDFS consists of two important components. That is called as your Hadoop consists of two important components. That is your HDFS and YARN. So HDFS is basically for maintaining of all these eco components, storage, all these things. So that is about your Hadoop eco components. When you see about remaining two components, Flume and Scoop, you say that I am a owner of one company and I am not aware of this unstructured data, and suddenly I am getting lot of image files, video files, and lot of barcoding generation is getting on, lot of thumb images information I am getting on, like that. So my organization has to change my policies now. So what I am going to do that is, I want to apply this Hadoop mechanism in my organization. So what I will do, I don't know all these things, but I am having so much of data, I want to process it now. So what I will do is, there is no need to implement all these mechanisms, just they will be passing the data to me. For that purpose, let us take this scoop. What is a scoop is, whenever you have a structured data only and you want to perform the analysis of structured data, I am going to import it. It is scoop is nothing but for importing and exporting of structured data which is available outside of Hadoop ecosystem. That means the organization or the company is not aware of Hadoop software, but they are just managing the data. For that purpose, for such peoples, they can make use of Scoop, they can import the data. Once the data is imported, I can perform the analysis either by writing MR coding or by using Hive or by using Pig, and I will be giving the analysis report. If the organization is giving me unstructured data, for example, video files is there, tweeters are there. For example, let us take the example, I am having, before releasing of a movie, the star wants, the producer, director wants whether my movie is going to be hit or not. I want to find out. So there will be in the movie phase, there will be trailer will be there. By seeing the trailer release, they want to say whether my movie will be good or not. So that can be done by using various posts by the tweeters, by the various views on the trailers, etc. So they are all your unstructured data. So these unstructured data I am going to import by using the Flume. So Flume is one eco component. And this Flume component I am going to put it, using this Flume I am going to take this unstructured data and I am going to analysis by using the Hive or Pig or MR. So these two components, that is called the Flume or Scoop components, which can be used for importing and exporting that unstructured data and semi-structured data which is available outside the Hadoop ecosystem. So in this fashion the Hadoop ecosystem works, and this will be our separate unit, and this will be our separate unit, this will be our separate unit, and this will be our separate unit. Flume and Scoop will be just taught in an additional manner. But we will be not learning about the Mahout as it is an administrative part. It is a Hadoop administration course we call as a, which we will be learning in a different phase. Right, we have a Annie Gott again. So Annie is interested to ask about the questions. So Annie is asking a question, that is, Hadoop is a framework that allows for distributed processing of small data sets or large data sets. So what is the answer for that? So as already in our previous slides, as I told you that the Hadoop distributed file system works on both large as well as small. But the power of the Hadoop you can see when you apply the large data sets. So that is the answer here. Thank you so much.